We do have an MC, which I'm going to turn it over to, and that is Sister Karen Camp. You all are now in her hands. Woo-hoo.
Well, well, well. I'm going to open with a saying from an activist. He's a philanthropist. He was the former president of the Ford Foundation. And he said, his name is Franklin Thomas. And he said, one day, our descendants will think it incredible that we paid so much attention to the things like the amount of melanin on our skin, or the shape of our eyes, or the gender, instead of the unique identities of each of us as complex human beings. And so today we are here to celebrate our diversity within our culture and all the uniqueness that we bring. And I'd like to welcome you all to our Black History program. The kids have been working tirelessly along with Johnny, so we want to go ahead and give them another hand for their hard work. Sister Bozeman in the back. Go down, Moses, let my people go. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate you. So, you know, we're waiting on our props to get here. So, okay, we need to do a little fillers. And I'm thinking, I'm kind of hard at that, but I came up with a little something anyway. So we're going to have, we're having some moments in Black history, because we actually have Black history sitting here in this building. Look, you all do not know about it, but it's here. We have the shortest month of the year to celebrate Black history. Is in February. But I created and I designed these shirts and made them for my staff at school, because I wanted them to understand that Black history is more than just a month. And so I wore the shirt today so you all can see. Black history is more than just a month. It's more than just us coming together to celebrate in one moment in time about our people. We are history every single day. And with that being said, we're excited to have an American social reformer, abolitionist, an orator, and a statesman right here in this congregation. He escaped from slavery in Maryland and has become a leader. And he continues to work in the movement. We have Frederick Douglass, but we call him James Adams. So I'm gonna go ahead down and talk. Y'all know Frederick Douglass is still alive. I'm going to him because, you know, he's a little elderly. And some things that you all don't know about Frederick Douglass, James Adams. Go ahead and stand up, Captain. I want you to tell him what you did here in San Antonio and how are you a Black history moment, living and breathing right here in our hallways.
Okay, so for most of you know, I spent 33 years in the San Antonio Fire Department, and that was a great moment for me because I never went to work a day in my life, a day in my career. It was always exciting for me to leave. But the chiming moment for me was in '83. My father passed, and I was studying for my lieutenant's exam. Well, I made lieutenant, and my dad never got a chance to see me pin my badge as a lieutenant. But I did tell him that I came in number 2 on my lieutenant's exam. James Ruggs, who I went to drill school with, he beat me. I told James, you will not beat me for the captain's exam. So we took the captain's exam probably 3 years later, and I beat James. So I became the first Black captain of the San Antonio Fire Department in the history of the fire department.
Frederick Douglass, still fighting for the people. We sure appreciate you. You're doing wonderful things, and you and your wife look great. As we walk a little further down into the congregation, we have somebody by the name of Ferdinand Lewis Alcindor Jr. Anybody? That's old school. That's an old name. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But we call him Ray Davis. Stand up, Ray. Woo! Why are you trying to roll up on me like that? Back up a little bit. Back it up. Even even though, if y'all don't know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7'2", and I think Ray is 6'9", but you're still a giant in our eyes, especially around the men that we have around here. They all look like little pygmies. But Ray, tell us a little bit about your history in basketball and what you did, because you are the first black man from this congregation to take it that far in sports.
Well, I grew up right here and went to Sam Houston High School. I was a two-time All-American there at Sam Houston. We went to state twice. We didn't win state, but we went to state twice. We had teams ranked in the top 10 in the country. Every year I was there, I was the first freshman, probably the only freshman to make varsity there at Sam Houston. Then I went over to UT. I had scholarships all over the country. And I decided to go to UT Austin. I played 4 years there, and I broke some kind of record there. I graduated in 4 years, and I was supposed to be the first African-American to actually graduate and get his degree in 4 years. Usually with athletes, it takes 5. So they redshirt, or it takes 5. So I got that, finished up, and then I got drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. I came out in the 7th round. I got drafted 7th round, and I was drafted at the same time with David Robinson. And if I'd have been about 2 inches taller, I'd have been fighting for the very exact spot that he was getting. But I ended up doing that, playing, and I did get released at one point and stuff like that. But it was, a blessing to be able to be on that particular level. And all that time, I still spent my time in church. I still did song leading, working with the youth, things like that, stuff like that. But that's a big part of it.
Thank you, Ray. I actually played the counterpart. I played basketball as well, a scholarship, and did all the things, Ray, but I didn't get to go because the women's league wasn't in full effect. I had an opportunity to play overseas, but I didn't take it. I chose to stay here. So let's see what we got in this audience. Everybody seems to be on this side of the house. We're just going to give a shout out for, let's see, Velma Andrews. Go ahead, stand up, Velma. I won't even make you talk. Go ahead and stand up so people can see you, girl. Stand up. Be proud. Velma Andrews. She was the first black female from Sunnyside. She was in the Sunnyside High Steppers. And she also received attention for telling little Johnny jokes in school. So thank you, Velma. Vicki Patrick, stand up. Stand up, you Black History. Yes. Vicki Patrick, stand up so that people can see you. Vicki Patrick was the first little girl in Pecos, Texas to sew clothes for her Barbie doll. And that's why she owns a sewing company right now, Alteration. She does sewing, so if y'all have something that needs to be made, the name of her business is So Tight, which I think is just like the baddest name ever. Patronize it. So we have some people here that wear some of her outfits, and actually comes to, no, she didn't make that. You didn't make that, but I mean, she does good work, but that ain't it. Walking a little further down, I saw a man riding a buffalo. He didn't like riding horses. He rode with the buffalo. So we have a buffalo soldier in the house. Hoyt Andrews. Stand on up and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, my experience here, and first of all, in this congregation, I obeyed the gospel here in San Antonio in let me see, what was that? Yeah, a good long while ago. And while being in San Antonio, I've always been interested in civic affairs. I have. And I became a member of the Buffalo Soldiers organization, the San Antonio Buffalo Soldiers, in 2002. And since that time, we have done a lot of presentations at schools. I think it's your school one time, and other places. And these unsung heroes, the Buffalo Soldiers, has always impressed me historically. They served at a time when it was very difficult just to live here, let alone to be in military organizations. But certainly Buffalo Soldiers has a great history, their contribution to the Western civilization, and I'm proud to be a member still of the San Antonio Buffalo Soldiers.
Another little fact, We have Sonny Merrill. Sonny, raise your hand. Sonny was the first baby to be born in a suit and a tie. Doctors didn't know what to do. Never seen nothing like that before. Then we had Ronnie Lofton. Raise your hand, Ronnie Lofton. Ronnie Lofton was the first little kid that ever saw. You know how you see kids playing and they have on shorts and boots? Ronnie Lofton was the first kid that was ever seen, little black kid, with little shorts on and spats over his tennis shoes. Y'all, there's stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff in here. So I am actually a little known black history fact here in San Antonio, Texas. I hail from Victoria, Texas. Went up through the ranks, basketball, as I stated before, and that's what paid for all 3 of my college degrees, came from that orange basketball. So I used that basketball. Takes me a little while to get out of bed, but I used it to my advantage. And in doing so, in the summertime, it was actually that basketball that landed me. You all are familiar, we'll pick you up. So, and I played softball too, so I had an option to go to college basketball, softball, fast pitch, and track scholarships from all over as well. Chose basketball, and so, but I played on a softball team with some enterprise executives, so they offered us some internships. And that turned into a full-time position when I graduated from college. And 2 years after I graduated from college in '91, I became the first, actually I was the first black female ever hired with Enterprise Rent-A-Car here in San Antonio, Texas. And then from that, 2 years later, I became the first black female that was ever a branch manager of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Now I had my first office with about 65 cars or so, so it was a little satellite office, and I moved up the ranks. And the last office I had before I gave up Enterprise altogether to kind of take care of my twins when they were born, I had over 400 cars and 12 employees with 3 different offices. So I am a little known black history fact here in San Antonio with Enterprise. So with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. Oh no, Sister Gates. Raise your hand, Sister Gates. That's Bobby Gates. She's just black history, y'all. Sister Gates, I love you. Love you to death. So we want to welcome you again. And now we're going to turn it over to our youth group, and they're going to start us off with a song.
Down bar. Down bar. No more. No more. No more. No more. Down bar. No more.
The Museum of Black History, walking, living, breathing Black history. And we're going to have some of our adults here help us to do these things. Our first one we will have is Devon Miller.
Good afternoon or evening. All right, my person was Tyler Perry. Some facts about him was he was nominated for NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actors in a Motion Picture, MTV Award for Best Comedic Performance, and the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Supporting. He also had a couple of books. There was a book by him which includes Don't Make a Black Woman Take Off Her Earrings, Medea's Uninhibited Commentaries on Love, Life, and the Higher. His movies included Medea's Big Happy Family, Boo, Medea Halloween, Medea's Family Reunion, and others. I'm gonna go into a few notable moments in his life. His actual name was Emmett Perry Jr., and he was born in New Orleans, Louisiana on September 14th, 1969. I believe he was the youngest of 18 siblings as well. As an actor, writer, producer, and director of films and stage plays, the New Orleans-born Tyler Perry began his career as a dramatist in 1992. His first production, entitled I Know I've Been Changed, hit the stage to a rapturous review in 1997 and following a collaborative period with Bishop T.D. Jakes. For 6 full years, he struggled in Atlanta, living as a homeless man. Finally, in 1998, his plays had a successful run in the House of Blue and in the Fox Theater. Already a successful artist in the Southern Theater, Perry began to make a national celebrity status in 2005 with the release of his first film, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Shortly after the release of Medea's Family Reunion in 2006, Perry opened his own production studio in Atlanta. When Perry founded Tyler Perry Studios, in 2009, he worked with Oprah Winfrey to help promote the acclaimed film Precious, which also received 2 Oscars. In January 2010, Perry pledged $1 million via the Tyler Perry Foundation to help rebuild lives of those affected by earthquakes in Haiti. In 2011, he was named the highest paid man in entertainment by Forbes, earning nearly $130 million. He had considered launching his own TV network before signing an exclusive production deal in 2013 with Oprah Winfrey on the OWN network. And that's all I have for him.
All right, thank you, Tyler Perry. This is Tyler Perry. This is before he got the money. See, he was wearing shorts and stuff. Now he wearing suits and alligator skin shoes. A little thing about Tyler Perry, kids. His dreams was bigger, they were bigger than his reality at the time. So sometimes you have to dream outside of the box. Do you not know Mr. Tyler Perry lived inside his car for a long time? So that car that y'all see him driving in the movie when he's Medea, and he's driving that big gold car, that's the car he used to live in. So that's why you see it a lot. It's a symbolization of where you can go when you dream bigger than your reality. Keep dreaming. Thank you, sir. Olivia Freelon and Carrie Adams. Olivia Freelon and Carrie Adams. I was going to do the props.
have it? Okay. So I am Venus. I'm the older sister. And you are?
I'm Serena, but I'm more talented.
So I have won. I'm a 7-time Grand Slam winner.
And I don't have to say what you, but I have 23.
And we have, how many titles do we have together? We have 4. We don't have to keep saying 23 for you, okay? Okay. So, we did 4 gold medals, and we won 3 doubles. We won together.
But I have some individual. You have to.
Okay, so my sister has won 23 Grand Slam titles. We were coached together. Okay. And we were the first 2 players, male or female, to play in 4 consecutive Grand Slam singles from 2000 and 2016, a 17-year span, collectively won 12 Wimbledon single titles. I won 5, and you won 7.
Can you just imagine how it really is in that household? Thank you, Venus and Serena. To have 2 talented children sitting at the table, and that they did just what they were probably doing at home when they're sitting around cutting up that steak and they're eating that filet mignon and caviar and drinking their little cider water and whatnot. And they're talking about their statistics. Can you imagine the conversations that take place in their homes about what they have achieved and how proud their parents must be? I have I have a set of twins, so I understand the competition, and they're going back and forth with the grades, but that's on a whole nother level. And so, kids, it's okay to challenge your brothers and your sisters, because you challenging them will cause them to be greater, and along with that will cause you to develop your talent a little bit more as well. Now we have Ronnie Lofton. They were almost 999,000 man march. Frederick Douglass forgot what he was supposed to be doing, y'all. He's leading the people, but he missed the march. Thank you, men. Appreciate you. That was an amazing sight to see. If you have not seen footage of the Million Man March, I'm sure you can Google it. They converged upon DC, and they were around the reflection pool. And to see that many men gather for a cause was absolutely amazing. So if you've not had a chance to view that footage, go back and take a look at it. And even if you did, it's just good sometimes to go back and look at what they've done. And now we're motivating some people to do. Thank you, men. Somebody help Frederick to his seat. Now we're going to have a skit by our young children.
I am Barack Obama, and come on out here, Michelle. Come on. Come on. Thank you. Come on out here, Melina. Come on. Come on. Come on, Shasha. Come on. Okay, then. Okay, all right. If there's anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer. And tonight, I think about all that she's seen throughout her century in America, the heartache and the hope, the struggle and the process, the times we were told that we can't, and the people who pressed on that American creed. Yes, we can. At the time, women's voices were silenced and their hopes dismissed. She lived to see them stand up and speak out and reach for the ballot. Yes, we can. 44 Americans have now taken the presidential oath, and it was there for the buses in Montgomery, the horses in Birmingham, a bridge in Selma, and a preacher from Atlanta who told a people that we shall overcome. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
I told you we did. I told you we could, and we did.
You see that? I think Joshua's a representation of tabloid news. That's how rumors get started. I'm sorry, they send them up, I'm just knocking them down. So we're gonna have our kids come forth and present us a song. Mary, don't you weep, she's going to be leading them. Oh, that was tough right there. That's nice. That's really nice. After that, Mary, I heard you. We're not going to call you Mary, don't you? We're going to call you Martha, don't you moan. Go ahead. Had them children moaning up there. I like that. One of these kids has a scope. I'm watching y'all. They were putting a red laser on me. I'm watching you. We're going to continue our journey down the hallways of the museum, and next coming to us will be Jeffrey Clark. No, I take that back, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, just stay where you are. We're going to have a presentation by little Miss Ashley Taylor, and she's going to give us some moments in history. Do I have to hold
it? I'm here to tell you about a few African American inventors that you don't normally hear about. Did you know that Isaac R. Johnson, an African American inventor, lodged his patent for a folding bicycle? Did you know John Lee Love was the inventor of the pencil sharpener known as a Love sharpener? Did you know that George Franklin Grant was the first African American professor at Harvard? He was also a Boston dentist and an inventor of a wooden golf tee. Did you know that Emmanuel Logan invented the bullet-resistant plexiglass? He said, "Anyone can be an inventor." You can ask yourself, why don't someone come up with a better idea? Why don't you do it? And there are also other great African American inventors, as you will see.
Thank you, Ashley. That was very good. I hope you all learned something that you didn't know before. And if you didn't remember and get a good chance to hear, if she didn't speak up loud enough for you in the back, go ahead and take a look at her poster. She worked so hard on that. Thank you so much. We appreciate you kids working hard on things here at the church and putting the same amount of energy and effort that you do for your school presentation. So it's important, and we give applause to the parents too for making that an important part of their lives. Little known Black history fact. You know, during St. Patrick's Day, they dyed the river green down in San Antonio. Did y'all not know that our own Carrie Adams, raise your hand, they used the color of her hair to get just right for St. Patty's Day. Y'all didn't know that. Carrie, girl, that's good. Good job. Good job. Give it up for her. Walking through the hallways of the museum, we will continue on with Jeffrey Clark. So they keep switching back and forth. It's like a tennis match. Go ahead, Tomas, you can come and hold the poster for them. They can do it together. How about that? Teamwork makes the dream work.
A little known Black history fact, we have at least 3 graduates of Howard University here in our congregation. Myself, Tomas Henderson, and my lovely wife, Lyrica Clark. And Howard University is one of the HBCUs located in Washington, D.C. It was founded in 1867 and is named after General Oliver Otis Howard of Civil War fame. One of General Howard's desires was to have education for newly freed slaves. And he was a proponent of educating the newly freed slaves. And then there were certain acts passed, one being the Morrill Act, I think it was in 1869, which allowed for land-grant colleges. So most of our historically Black colleges are in existence because of the Morrill Act. In fact, just about every land-grant college in existence, including FAMU, I know it's a Rattler out there somewhere.
Prairie View.
Prairie View. Tuskegee. And there's another story about Tuskegee because its founder's up there, Booker Taliaferro Washington, who was an escaped slave. Now, I don't want to, I can go on and on about it. This is being a black history. But here we go. We're going to talk about Dr. Daniel Hale Williams.
Quick overview of him. He was born in 1856 in Hollywood, Pennsylvania. And during that, can't hear me? Cool. He was born in 1856. We good now? Perfect. And Philly, well, not in Philly, outside of Philly, in Pennsylvania. And during his time, as you guys know, there were not hospitals for African Americans. So his dream was to make that a reality. He is the first to open up a hospital for people of color. In fact, he had the first interracial staff back in 1863, which is Providence Hospital. And during that time, he performed the first successful open heart surgery. Now, before, there were surgeries done by many others, but none of their patients survived. And at that time, you got to think about it. To do that kind of work with no tools at all, I mean, it's just feel in touch. And that's one thing I would say about a lot of our HBCUs. I know many times we go to these other schools and we see things with like, well, why do they have this, the best of this and the best of that? And we're still using things that are a little bit out of touch. Well, for you millennials, I'm gonna tell you why. When the power goes out, you must still survive. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is that when the power go out and your cell phone battery die, what happened? It's like when you vacuum in the floor, right? And you go too far, you guys stop. And you have to realize that things were done manually and stuff so that it better equipped and prepared you for life. Many times you can't depend on this technology. And one thing I shared with my high school class is that Steve Jobs created this iPhone, won't even allow his kids to touch that phone because he didn't want them to become dependent on technology. But then I'm gonna turn this back over to Brother Clark about this Brother Daniel Williams, because again, at Howard University, this was significant because he became the chief surgeon at what is now Howard University Hospital, but used to be called the Freedman Hospital.
And how many of y'all heard of 40 Acres and a Mule? Before the Freedmen's Hospital was Freedmen's Hospital, before Dr. Williams took over, it was the Freedmen's Bureau. And after slavery, the freed slaves were guaranteed 40 acres and a mule. But then Reconstruction happened, corrupt politicians happened, we didn't get the 40 acres, and we didn't get the mule. Daniel Hale Williams, I trained at Howard University. And one interesting thing about being at Howard, they remember the legacy of Dr. Williams. So every time there's a cardiac arrest, they call it Dr. Dan instead of Cold Blue, as an homage to Dr. Williams. He, as Tomas said, he started Providence Hospital in Chicago. My two older brothers were born there. It's still in existence today. And you know, Chicago at the time was a segregated city, so its black residents were born there in Providence. And so a lot of doctors were trained at Freedmen's Hospital and at Providence Hospital. So there's an ongoing legacy. And even you think about even Meharry, because some of those doctors, Dr. Williams trained at Freedman Hospital, they went south to be able to take care of African American black citizens that couldn't have be cared for by white doctors. So that is a legacy, an ongoing legacy of Dr. Daniel Hale Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. For the children, Brother Clark and Brother Henderson were throwing around the acronym HBCU. Do y'all know what that stands for? Anybody? Not the older folks. Do you know? I said not the older folks. Sorry, I know that's your voice. You helped fight the battle in Jericho. I know you know what that means. That wasn't Joshua, that was Hoy. Lord, So it stands for Historical Black Colleges and Universities. Those were the colleges and universities that allowed people to look down at your skin, little brown children and brown adults to go to, because we were not allowed to go to any other colleges and universities. So we created our own educational system. And they are still alive and thriving today. So if you have a chance, I have my twins attend a HBCU. Brother Taylor's and Sister Taylor's son attends a HBCU. A lot of our members here in church have attended a historically black college or university. So do not count them out, because they kept us afloat when nobody else would. Now we have Clara Vasquez. Yes, ma'am. Say it again. Yes. Okay, thank you. That we have a Panther in the house, and so we have quite a few people here from Prairie View. And they say it is the Prairie View University, and they produce productive people. And you can see, and it's evident because they are working in this church. Thank you, Clara Vasquez.
I'm here to talk about Sojourner Truth. I'm only going to say a few words. She was born a slave in 1799, and she passed away 1883. She was born Isabella Bonfrey to her parents were James and Elizabeth Bonfrey. She was born in Ulster County, New York, on the west side of the Hudson River, some 80 miles from New York City. She was freed from slavery in 1827. In 1843, she became a traveling preacher and changed her name to Sojourner Truth. She spoke out on subjects ranging from abolition to temperance, prison reform, and women's suffrage. She's remembered, though, more for her speeches than for her post-Civil War work. She is most closely identified with the question, "And ain't I a woman?" That was from her speech in 1851.
Sojourner Truth was very instrumental in the history. However, you heard that she said that she got a name for being a female preacher. Young ladies and young men, we do not have any female preachers in the church. So I just want to go ahead and stress that. So sometimes kids, I work with children, and they'll hold on to the thing that you don't want them to really focus on. So I want to make sure they understand and get a clear understanding of that. So she was very important. So the next person walking through the hallways of this museum is Stacy Taylor.
I'm gonna take it as love, but anyways. Who was Sarah Boone? She was born in 1832 in Craven County, North Carolina. Sarah Boone made her name by inventing the ironing board. Boone was a rarity during her time, a female African-American inventor. Who, in her patent application, she wrote that the purpose of her invention was to produce Okay, so apparently this is not Sarah Boone, because okay, I'm gonna finish. In her patent application, she wrote that the purpose of her invention was to produce a cheap, simple, convenient, and highly effective device, particularly adapted to be used in ironing the sleeves and bodies of ladies' garments. Prior to that time, most people ironed using a board of wood rested across a pair of chairs or tables. She was living in New Haven, Connecticut when her patent was granted in 1892. She died in 1904. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Boone, and this must be little Johnny's sister, Sister Tink Tink. Tink Tink, you broke by the ironing board. Sarah Boone could be my best friend. I love to iron. I iron every single day. I do. I like to iron. Stacy, you couldn't have found one person. Now we have a skit by our children.
Hey everybody, I'm Martin Luther King, and I brought today with me Coretta. My daughter Yolanda. My son Dexter. My daughter Bernice. My son Martin Luther King III. Today I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is your life's blueprint? A blueprint sets a firm foundation for the course of your life. Number one, in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life has divine and ultimate significance. Number two, once you have decided what your work and calling will be, set out to do it as if you were doing it for God Himself, for it isn't by size that you win or fail. Finally, in your life's blueprint, there must be a commitment to the eternal principles of love, beauty, and justice. Don't ever allow anybody to pull you so low to make you hate them. Don't allow anybody to cause you to lose your self-respect to the point that you do not struggle for justice. I have been to the mountaintop. I have seen the coming of the Lord.
Go ahead, Martin. Martin Jr. was up here cutting up. I wish y'all could have seen that side glance that Coretta gave him, and he straightened up. I was like, oh, they are in character. I blew the kids away with a little fact. They didn't know Martin Luther King stood. He was a powerful man. If you hear him speak, you close your eyes, you would think he stood as tall as Ray. He was only 5'7". 5'7". So that lets you know dynamite comes in little packages. Keep lighting that wick. All of these skits and information on history about our African American brothers and sisters out in the world is fantastic, and it's things that we need to reflect upon and learn from and work and build upon to do, but we need to bring it a little bit closer to home. And so there are some African Americans that have done great things right within the Church of Christ. And I think we're going to have Brother Houston to come forward and give us some information about those gentlemen and perhaps ladies.
Of course, when we talk about the African American experience, when we talk about the black experience, be it worldwide or here in America, we can go back to the Old Testament. We can go back to Numbers chapter 12 and verse 1, and we see where Moses himself married an Ethiopian woman. As a matter of fact, when he got ready to marry her, Moses' brother Aaron and his sister Miriam tried to oppose him and did not want him to marry the Ethiopian woman. And of course, we know that Egypt is throughout the Bible, and we can see also with the three sons of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Most scholars believe that the black race or people of color emanated from one of the sons of Noah, that son being Ham. But nevertheless, we can also see in the New Testament, we can see where the influence of the gospel on those of us who are people of color, we even see it in the New Testament. In Acts chapter 2, about verses 9 through 11, we can see there where it talks about the Parthians, the Medes, the Elamites, the dwellers of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Pamphylia, and Egypt. And so even there we can see that there is influence of the gospel even on those of us who are from the, in terms of our ancestors, who are from the continent of Africa. And then we can see in Acts chapter 8, verses 26 through 30, we can see when God providentially worked through Philip the evangelist, who was one of the first deacons in the church in Acts chapter 6, when he goes down to Samaria, and yet and still the Holy Spirit encourages him to come in contact with a man from Ethiopia who had traveled all the way from Ethiopia, and he had some questions in regards to Isaiah chapter 53. He wanted to know exactly who that was referring to. And after he had left talking with the priest and talking with those individuals of Judaistic background, he was still complex and confused about who the person was in Isaiah chapter 53. And then Philip the evangelist, the Bible says the man was in his chariot. He was reading from the 53rd chapter of the book of Isaiah. And as educated as he was, because he was a treasurer for the queen of Candace, who was there in Ethiopia, he did not understand what he was reading. And Philip joined himself to the chariot, and he said, "Do you understand what you're reading?" And the man said, "How can I, except someone should guide me?" And ultimately, from that same passage, he began to preach Jesus unto him. And the Bible says when they came to a certain water, the man asked the question, "See, here is water. What doth hinder me to be baptized?" And he was baptized. And after he was baptized and he came up out of the water, the Spirit of God led him away, and he went on his way rejoicing. Now, he was a black man. He was from Ethiopia, and we understand historically that the gospel began to spread in North Africa, and most scholars believe that this Ethiopian Christian was the one who took the gospel to Northern Africa, and as a result of that, the gospel began to spread throughout the northern part of Africa. But even in the Church of Christ, when we go back and look at the Restoration movement, we talk about the white Alexander Campbell, but most of us don't realize that there was a black Alexander Campbell who was also instrumental in taking the gospel to people of color. We often talk about great individuals like Barton Stone and others who were a part of the Restoration movement, but also we need to realize that we've had some preachers in our fellowship who were great and encouraging to us as black preachers who are in the Church of Christ. There was a preacher who was a blind preacher. His name was G.E. Stewart, and he was able to preach the gospel, and spiritually speaking, he had 20/20 vision even though he could not see. And then during that particular time, the schools were closed to us, to people of color. As a matter of fact, not only were the secular schools closed to us, we could not even go to the Christian schools. And there was a fellow by the name of G.P. Bowser. He's known as the father of Christian education in the Church of Christ. And he was the one who was instrumental in starting Southwestern Christian College, which became also, we don't talk about this, but Southwestern Christian College is an HBCU school. And it has been instrumental in educating more black preachers in the Church of Christ than any school within our fellowship. And also, I need to tell you about another great preacher in our fellowship that most of us are not aware of. And we thank God for Dr. Martin Luther King while he was out there trying to help us get our civil rights. We thank God for Marsha Keeble, who was helping us get our spiritual rights. And Marsha Keeble was an individual who would go into towns and preach in a tent, and he would convert whole churches to Christ. As a matter of fact, when he died, it is estimated that he baptized nearly 50,000 people into the Church of Christ. And most of us who are black, we are in the Church of Christ because somewhere in our background, perhaps Brother Keeble baptized our grandmother, our great-grandfather, and as a result of that, they continue to teach the gospel to us. But also, Brother Keeble started a school in Nashville that was called NCI, Nashville Christian Institute. Since we were not able to go to the predominantly, the white Christian colleges, he started a school in Nashville where he taught notable preachers such as Jack Evans, who became known as Dr. Jack Evans, Dr. W.F. Washington, who also was influenced by Marsha Keeble. And we could talk about many other preachers that went through NCI, R.C. Wells, Dr. Eugene Lawton. And all of these individuals were influenced by a preacher who didn't even have a high school education, but yet he knew the gospel. And he was instrumental in taking little boys like that under his wing in his school, and when he would go preach, he would take all these little boys with him, and they had to learn to quote the Bible, and eventually they became some of the most notable preachers in our brotherhood. And I would like to think that the Ethiopian eunuch set the tone for people like you and I to be members of the Church of Christ. And so we have a rich heritage in the Church of Christ. And I just hope and pray those of us who are African Americans, people of color, black, whatever you want to call us, let's not forget where we came from, or we are destined and doomed to forget where we are trying to go. God bless you.
So it's interesting that Brother Houston talked about Marshall Keeble. He actually baptized my grandmother in a tent meeting. They used to have tent revivals, and so he came to town in a tent revival, and she tells of the time when they sat out there a couple of hours every night until she said it was just no way that she could not hear what he said and read what he said and not understand and come to the knowledge and understanding and be baptized. I've actually was at the home of one of those boy preachers about 2 weeks ago. I was not here at church, and he's down in Wharton, Texas, Brother Eddie L. Brinkley, who just retired from the ministry about 75 years. I think he retired from preaching for 75 years, and he started as Brother Keeble's boy preacher. And I think when he started preaching and traveling with Brother Keeble, he was 10 to 11 years old, already standing up preaching the Word of God, and he is just an amazing, amazing man, and I've been having privilege to have known him all my life. And so Brother Keeble was something else. He was something else. And so he has influenced my family, and through him, I'm here. So thank you. we'll have one last skit from our children.
Okay, everyone know we kind of ran a little behind getting started today because we were waiting on a prop. Well, a prop got here and we were ready for the skit. We got boarded and everything, and we were headed down the aisle and kind of lost the wheel.
They were riding the chariot and rode it till the wheels fell off.
If y'all turn around, you can see the chariot. It is here. But, and we want to thank Don. He did a great job on it. I guess it was just, the weight, that was a little too much for the wheel or something. I'm not sure. But we're going to go ahead with our skit. So y'all just pretend like, you know, y'all see a chariot up here, okay?
Go south towards the desert.
Like a lamb, he was led to the slaughter, and like a sheep before a shearer is silent, he said nothing.
Do you know what you're reading, sir?
How am I supposed to know if nobody teaches me?
Let me help you.
Please do. Join me. Onward. But wait, there's water. What hinders me from being baptized?
Nothing.
Okay.
Wade in the water. Wade. God's gonna trouble the water.
That was beautiful. Can y'all just see that chariot?
No.
Nothing's gonna hinder him from being saved. They rode that chariot till the wheels fell off, but he can still get in that water. I think Brother Hort Andrews, when he lived in Chicago, he went to the Chatham Avalon Church of Christ, and there was a boy preacher there that was under Marshall Keeble as well, and I think his name was Daniel Harrison, correct, sir? Daniel Harrison, he's one of the boy preachers as well. So they're all over the United States. And then we had a correction. I think Sister Tink Tink, she was over there tearing up the ironing board so much that we didn't get all the correct information. Sarah Boone didn't actually invent the ironing board. She created modifications, and she made an arm that we see there, the arm, where it was easier to iron the arms and the bodies of the women's dresses at the time, because as you know, it was a lot of material. And so they were using a board and putting it across 2 chairs, and so she came up with that concept, and so she made a modification and improvement, so that's what she is noted for in history. So we'd like to thank everybody for that. Do you have anything you would like to say, Ms. Johnny, before we bring this program to an end? Oh, she has to come. Come on up. Didn't they do a wonderful job?
I just really want to thank everyone for coming out and sharing in this with us. I know I had a great time helping the children with it. And I believe the children themselves had a great time performing for you all. And like I said, I had a co-partner, Sister Gail Dukes. So when y'all see her, be sure, you know, to thank her as well. Some additional people I would like to give thanks to. And I'm gonna ask these ladies to stand. That is Carrie Brady, Sister Carrie, love ya. If you stand, love, okay. T. Ashton, where'd she go? She may be helping out somewhere else. Coco, Coretta, I'm sorry, we call her Coco. And then Sister Bozeman in the back. Now, these ladies, we rehearsed for the last 5 or 6 Sunday afternoons. And these ladies came out each week. They helped to serve the kids lunch, of course, they helped keep the kids in line and all of that good stuff. So we could not have done this without you all. So I thank you all very much. As everyone knows, Mary is also helped with the meal. You will get some soul food after the program. So again, Mary, thank you so much. And then I think Rhea, she did the decorating for us. There she is back there in the back. Thank you, Rhea. I know she had the decorating committee. There's a couple of ladies on the decorating committee with her, and we thank you all also. Sister Camp, what can I say? What can I say? There's a method to my madness, I'll put it like that. So thank you so much, Karen. You did an outstanding job, and we really appreciate it. So that's it. Thank you all so much.
Give Johnny another round of applause for her hard work, dedication. Johnny is not only taking on our youth this year, she took on 4 of her niece's children. Yes, and so now she is a new mom. You know, tragedy hit her family, but thank God she was able to stand in the gap and get those kids, and now she's raising the 4 children, and by that we are also raising the 4 children with her. So, Ray, if you can get your vocals ready, we'll have you come and lead us in a verse of the Negro National Anthem, and that's Lift Every Voice and Sing. But before I leave, thank you, Johnny, and she said there was a method to her madness. She basically gave me the outline, and she said, just do what you do. And I said, okay, I'm just gonna try to do a little something. I don't know what I can give the people, but it's always fun to stand before you all and just let me just be me. And I'm gonna leave you with these words from the poet Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly.
All right, all right. Let's give them all a round of applause. That was just a beautiful program. Let us all stand. We're going to sing this together. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring.